Hey, it's you! Come on in and join us!
Hey, y'all, we decided we're gonna make today a tribute to the Twilight book series with a little help from Southern Witchcrafts.
It's a Halloween morning with the Barbershop Duet.
Hi, I'm Marcus Klinger with Klinger Vocal Studio.
And I'm Sarah Vincent with Sarah Vincent Virtual Pilates.
But on Wednesdays and Saturdays,
we are the Barbershop Duet!
Hey, y'all, come on in. Happy Halloween season. We're so glad you found our little barbershop. If you happen to be here during one of the live premieres, join the chat, won't you? We'd love to meet you and have you meet the Whiff Pack, a cool group of folks from all over the world hanging out. They'd love to meet you.
They would. And for our mention today, we actually added our first EDP from Southern Witchcrafts into our den. This was the first soap that we smelled by them, Autumn Ash. And as soon as we saw this on sale at the Razor Company, we had to sneak it into the den.
Y'all, a fabulously appropriate little bottle for a witchcraft serum, and I love this scent, and it just comes alive in the EDP. And at under $25 for these, y'all, they are collectible. So I am loving this. Wore it to bed the other night, and I had to wait till the cold weather to do it because it just wouldn't have been appropriate any other way. And for our soap today, we are such fans of the Twilight book series and the subsequent movies that when we saw that there was a Southern Witchcraft soap that was an homage to vampires, and one that was an homage to werewolves, we thought, wait a minute, what if we could do a whole Twilight Day? Well, we need one to represent Bella, and y'all, if Necromantic doesn't fit that bill, I don't know what does. Let's meet the soap.
Necromantic is an adjective that describes something as relating to necromancy, which is the practice of raising the dead or communicating with the dead through black magic. The term can also be used as a noun to refer to the act of conjuration.
Oh.
Well, I would say that's appropriate for Bella. She certainly communicated with the dead. And from the sales page at southernwitchcrafts.com.
Necromantic is a bold and unique fragrance, which evokes imagery of love, romance, and death. Perfect for a crisp autumn shave in a graveyard.
That's what sold me. And y'all, I don't know if you've seen them, but these labels on the Southern Witchcraft soaps were some of the very early inspiration for this whole show. I thought, you know, if they could go this hard on just the label, what does the soap smell like? And we were not disappointed. Y'all, Southern Witchcrafts creates some of the most rich and decadent scents in the entire wet shaving world.
Their own cool vibe.
And we love they go so hard for Halloween. So y'all, let's let this thing out of its coffin.
All right, y'all. So fun fact, the first box that we got from Southern Witchcraft has actually lived on our set every single episode since July 10th of 2023.
We put our little guys on them. So here we go. We got this one right from Southern Witchcraft in Georgia.
And it's a purple tissue paper.
Love that. Her mom got a little scared the first time a package showed up from Southern Witchcraft. She's very Catholic. She was like, what is this?
Hold on, what's happening? Which we loved even more. Okay.
I should have told her it was our graveyard dust. For the
Oh,
the little greeting card. I love it. There we go.
Hey. All right, y'all. Oh, I forgot about the picture on the bottom. It kind of looks like a little wine or blood. I don't know what that is.
Best labels in the business. I've been waiting all year to add to our Southern Witchcraft collection. Let's have a first impression. Y'all, we have checked the website. There has been a massive restocking in honor of Halloween over at southernwitchcrafts.com. So go check it out. And I think this one is in stock.
As from what I checked. Okay, I'm trying not to look at the label because it does give away some scent notes. So I'm trying to go as blind as I can.
But we know from Autumn Ash, that's just a suggestion of the scent notes. There's a world going on in there. They don't help you all that much.
They don't.
Okay, take it.
Okay. It's fun to have more of these black tubs to add to our den. Ooh, a nice evenly spread out.
One of the most respected vegan formulas in the business.
All right, here we go. Oh, okay. So this is probably the first more feminine forward ones. I would
Shut
say.
Up, really?
So that's good for Bella.
Bella!
Yeah,
It's Bella. We knew it. We knew it. All right, what are you getting?
Okay, hold on. There's okay, so most of these other four that we have so far, each of these have that deeper, darker side that stays throughout the whole whiff.
Right.
This starts deeper, and then to me it gets a little more like reddish. I'm not sure what's creating that color, but
I
it's happening.
specifically ordered dank. Is there dank in there?
It's here, but not as obvious as the other ones we've smelled so far. So it's definitely their signature type of scent.
Nice.
But there is something I don't want to say prettier, but a little more maybe romantic about it, I should say.
All right.
So please hold.
And the female of the species is generally a little neglected in the Universal Monster movie lineup. You know what I mean? I think Bride of Frankenstein is all you got.
I feel like I could be waiting in line for Haunted Mansion. There's something like, if you could take, I'm not sure if this was possible, but if you could take a red rose and turn it into a booze, there's something in there happening, but it's been left in the dark for a very long time.
That's why she's here, folks. Well, it's funny you say that because the Haunted Mansion was a love story at first. In fact, 10 years before they built the ride, they built the soundtrack and they released a record with a young Ron Howard playing like a kid on a date who like gets caught in the rain and has to duck into this haunted mansion with his date.
Oh.
Y'all, that was the original story and you can find it on YouTube. In fact, there's a link in the description. Go take a listen. It's very cool and it's got all the original soundtrack and the original song and all the original voice recordings that Paul Frees did for the attraction. And it was a love story. It was about a sea captain who was jealous, and that's why there's a bride in the attic, and that why her lover's hanging from the chandelier at the beginning.
See, this all makes sense.
That's it. So it should have sort of a spooky love story feel to that smell if it reminds you of Haunted Mansion.
It does have just a little hint of the romance, and I don't know if it's because of the floral side or what's happening, but let me dive in here.
A boozy rose, y'all.
And then it does at the end. It's like a tug of war of something like, I don't know if it's a blackberry, a blueberry. There's something in there, but it's like the fruit leather version.
Right.
And then also next to it, like side by side, is that deeper, not as danky as the other ones, but it does have like a little dirty edge happening. It's not a tar or something like that, but it's just keeping it from getting too pretty and, normal, let's say.
Love that. All right, let me see. I think I'm ready to know what this is.
Yes, I really think you will. I mean, I was trying not to read the label, but I'm curious if we are getting close.
And look what you said, a boozy rose.
Look
I'm not
sure what that is.
A rose and wine.
Something at the bottom. So I'm not sure if the...
I never drink wine.
Let's see.
Oh, okay.
I figured this would be up his alley.
Oh, crap. Seriously?
I know, I was trying not to give too much of it away.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Southern Witchcrafts. My loves.
It was worth the wait. Let me just
These
say,
are
worth the wait.
incredible. Y'all, the depth
That's
of
a
these
good
Southern
word.
Witchcraft sets. There is no bottom. This is Mel's hole. Hold on. Wow. Boy, did you nail it with Boozy Rose.
Really? Okay.
Oh, that is the most apropos description I could possibly imagine.
But I feel like you dug it out of a grave. Like the outside of the bottle is all gross and full of, like it's not brand new. There's something aged about it.
It's like I've got a bouquet of cemetery roses, almost like the purpley dark kind. And then on the other side are a couple of glasses of freshly poured red wine. But there's more going on here. Hold on a second. Okay, you know what's cool? I don't really get a sense of soil. I get a sense of like dead grass kind of going on under. So like
the age is there somehow. I think that's why I got Haunted Mansion. Just like old, you know?
Y'all, and this goes smooth. It doesn't go spicy.
A good way too.
Whoa, okay. I am still discovering this. This goes deep.
I know. Did you see how long I whiffed? It takes a while.
And you know what's what's the miracle in this, y'all? Okay, imagine you've got a lovely dry red wine in front of you, a Merlot, right? You're smelling it. There comes a point where the dryness of that wine starts to get a little leathery, starts to get a little to my nose, right?
Yeah.
Like you can follow the sweet to a point, but right where it gets to the heart of the wine, the sweet goes away and you're kind of left with this like super, almost too savory grape sense to it. Y'all, here's the thing. This invites you into that red wine. And as soon as it's about to turn and get a little bit sour and a little bit bitter, everything else in here jumps in and takes over. So your nose is following that, expecting it to kind of like hit you in the face, and it doesn't. It lays you down gently with flowers.
Can you figure out if there's a fruit in there?
Yeah, and I think part of what does it is what you said about the berries, is that wine goes all the way to where it's about to be a sour grape, and then the berries take over and give it a sweetness. But y'all, it's kind of like, for me, in my dad's cemetery, they grow blackberries. So it's kind of like sensing at night that blackberry vine, and it's kind of like a thorny, spooky vine already. That's kind of the sense I get. So, okay, hold on. Roses, wine, blackberries.
Some kind of berry, yeah.
And the thing I love about the wet shaving world and those original scents, they're as far from like a perfumer EDP idea like you would find at Nordstrom than I could possibly imagine. This is not one of those. This is something created to take you to a real place and time. Okay, hold on.
I think it's just the whole time there's something new to discover. Like the more whiffs you take, the more things are happening.
It's where the wine is meeting the berries, is meeting the roses.
Yeah.
Wow. And then something boozy. And y'all, let's have a grown-up conversation. I think the scary horror world works best when two ideas come together that aren't necessarily related at the beginning. So who in the world would think about bringing together cemetery flowers and wine and blackberries? And y'all, I don't know what the connection is between the world of death and dying and gothic and goth and all that stuff and the idea of being romantic. There is just some giant connection that these are somehow just totally bringing out into the open. And it's amazing. If the wine doesn't go all the way to wine, the roses don't go all the way to roses. They don't go super sweet. They kind of stay in that dark, purpley cemetery rose, like foggy sense of it. And I'm not sure how.
There's something at the beginning, too, it's just pretty enough that kind of like pulls you in.
Right.
Like, you know, if you weren't supposed to hang out with the witch in the woods, there's something that's like going to attract you in. So
like
there's
the door
something.
just click opens on its own. It's like, ooh, would you like some shelter?
And if that could happen in a scent, that's happening here.
Right.
I feel like this is the most attractive.
100%.
If that could be a word of our lineup so far.
Well, this is absolutely a feminine friend to have on your shoulder. I love that they did this in this entire world. Yes, these are your more masculines. These are your vampires. These are your werewolves. This is your necromantic.
I'm really glad we went with our gut to assign this to Bella because there is something a little off about her too. You know, like she's kind of naturally awkward. She does have that, you know, like her character alone has that come through. Yeah. And she's clearly like love driven. So there's something in here that has like a little bit of that innocent vibe. Right. But then the other side is completely the dark and the other depth of where her story clearly turns into. So it really does fit. Not that we need to change the name or anything, but if you wanted to have a soap that could be as close to what we think Bella would wear or smell like, I think this really does fit the bill.
And y'all, here's just about the best compliment I can give this soap. These have such a place of honor in our cabinet. I am sure these are worn down from how many times I open and smell these.
It's his go-to.
The best compliment I can give this is that this is an absolute 100% fitting addition to this collection. Y'all, this is absolutely as rich, decadent, beautiful, and imaginative as all of our Southern Witchcrafts collection. And I love that because that doesn't always happen. Well, because sometimes when you start with an absolute banger, right? Your next two or three may not be absolute bangers from that same artist. And this one, this is the fifth one in a row that I love just about equally. And I can't even fathom how that's possible because these are such my favorites.
So take another whiff. But I feel like if we were to normally have any of these scents in here, that it would normally have a chocolate in there. Or it would have a coffee. Like it's funny. Like
dark.
Right. And it's funny that this isn't using that. And they're not missing to not be there. But I think anything in this lane would normally have one of those other things thrown in somehow.
Well, and how often do you dive into a wine where it's not the fruit, it's the booziness of the wine that's doing it. And I think that's how they're doing it. It's not a dark, rich spice. It's a boozy spice that sits right in the middle. And that's how this is more of a Bella soap.
Right.
This doesn't go all the way deep patchoulis, tobaccos, earth, soil, those kind of things.
Right.
This stays more on your lights, days of wine and roses.
Yes.
I just figured that out. Y'all, let's take a look at the scent now. All right, y'all, back to the sales page at southernwitchcrafts.com.
We have rose, which we guessed, so that's good. And then wisteria, that's the brighter side.
Right, and that's kind of the graveyard flower scents that I'm getting, because you don't see wisteria, I don't think, anywhere else.
I don't think we have.
Not on this show, no. And then
honey. Again, not too bright on the like gourmandy scale, but just enough to keep it alive,
and
maybe?
Not crazy overly sweet that'll allow the flowers to keep being the sweet, but it gives kind of an earthy sense to it, an ambery sense
and just
to
that natural kind of vibe of something that's real.
Well, and I think that helps balance out where the flowers and the wine come together. That honey is the extra sweet that helps smooth it all over. Does that make sense?
Right. It's like it almost helps the rest blend together somehow.
And it's there. Y'all, honey fields, I'm not a giant fan of that. I've smelled a dupe of that cologne. This honey note is different. This is a little bit more like the spun honey that you're putting on your English muffin, right? Ooh, and then
red wine, which we guessed. But it's more that there's somehow a fruity side and a bitter side to this wine. I'm not sure how they're both coming through.
Do you get the bitter side? 'Cause I don't.
Oh, I think I do near the end of the whiff. Like somewhere where the rose hits the wine. There's something in there that is connecting somehow.
Gotcha. And then Marcus was wrong. There's dirt. Although it doesn't say soil.
Right.
Let's be clear.
That's different.
Right. I think this one, Adam Ash, I think this has a sense of soil to it, but Gothorum Tonstrina, this is dust. This is dirt. So this kind of smells for me like you're walking in a barbershop that got walled up 150 years ago and you're just breaking through the brick. So you got the lovely barbershop, but you also get the sense that nobody stepped foot in there for 150 years. That's the dusty note that I'm getting in this. That's
interesting.
Fabulous. So it's not like a rich soil note. I think that would have been more grounding. I think that would have made it less feminine. Yeah.
Interesting. I think maybe that's why I was getting Haunted Mansion. Like you're going into the graveyard from Bill. I don't know. Something about that being underground vibe.
And y'all, if you love rose, but you wanted a little bit more on the dry masculine side, not so much the rose bowl, but a little bit more of a dapper rose in your lapel. That's this rose. It's beautiful.
And we have one more scent note. We have ozone.
Brilliant. Well, y'all, ozone is a little bit what you might smell next to a strike of lightning in a thunderstorm, but it's also what you smell next to a Ricoh copy machine when it's turned on. It's that like sweet electronic smell. Ozone.
Or maybe playing with some witchy romance kind of vibes that just kind of happens
They might be building a potion in here. We're not entirely sure, but we know it lets you communicate with the dead, so we might have to take this a little bit deeper. All right, y'all. So we're going to build our ladder so you can see the glory of this formula, one of the most coveted formulas in all the wet shaving world, vegan or not, and it's vegan. So here we go, y'all. It is just soft and buttery, just a little bit firmer than the butter on my counter. And that's all I'm going to throw in that shaving bowl.
Let's see.
Oh, the rose comes out beautifully with a little water. Wow. Oh, that's nice. So yeah, I think what I liked about the Twilight book series is it kind of started with a heroine that was a little bit like had her world turned upside down at the very beginning.
Like you already feel like you're attached to her character. It comes through.
And y'all, this is my Hemingway brush from Moon Soaps. This was hand turned by Zachary Kent, and it is one of my favorites. Y'all, look at this lather already.
Wow, I'm getting whiffs from here.
Ooh.
Whatever that fruitiness, did we even read a fruit?
Oh. You know what? Maybe not. Is there a fruit note listed?
No, but it must be in the red wine. I was even getting like a tart cherry or like a deep cherry or like a prune or something. So it must be the red wine. But there's some secrets.
We do know from the artisans that they generally will put a couple of dozen scent notes into a soap and they only list the most prominent. Peter Charkalis will put 3 or 4 different kinds of lime into a scent and just name it lime, kind of thing. So who knows? I'd be willing to bet that there are some beautiful, like you said, bitter cherries.
Unless it's somehow like how the honey is hitting the other things. But I'm going to go and say there's a lot more berry in this red wine than there's not.
Yeah, for sure.
It's wonderful. It just makes it how everything kind of connects together.
Right.
They intertwine somehow.
Y'all, when you mix music, which I was doing this morning, there is a sweet spot. There is just a moment where this is turned just right, and this is turned just right, and the reverb is turned up just right, and the compressor is set just right, and y'all, you stress over it, and right when it's just perfect, it just pops. And it hits this sweet spot where everything is in perfect balance and you don't have to listen to the individual parts anymore. You just know. You just take it in and you go, that's the song. That's the melody. That's the feel. That's the vibe.
Blend.
Y'all, among the absolute top noses in the shaving soap world when it comes to creating that absolute perfect balance. And the thing is, usually it's 3, 4, maybe 5 scent notes that they will use to make that perfect balance because it's tricky. Here, you're dealing with a dozen or more and the balance is still not only precarious, but perfect so that there's movement to it. Your nose doesn't just take it in and get to know it. It keeps changing on you. It keeps evolving because that balance becomes a dance. And there is just something about all of these that keeps blowing my socks off at their ability to create symphonies in this world.
Ooh, that's a good word. Yeah. There's something about their signature scent too. I feel like if we had a lineup of most of the artisans, we would be able to pick out the Southern Witchcraft kind of vibe comes through.
And here's the cool thing. We have artisans where we can totally recognize the base or we can recognize the base of their perfumery. The only way that I would know this is a Southern Witchcraft, and I totally would, was because of the complexity and the quality of the balance.
Right. And it has just enough of that, damp, darker kind of
Right.
side compared to some of the other stuff, but it's part of their signature. Like, but again, we say this a lot. You can't have the darker sides without the brighter sides. And there's
Right.
something in this one that's kind of keeping it in that, I don't know, I feel like if I hadn't even seen the label and I took a whiff of this,
Right.
I would get that ruby red, dark
Yes.
wine kind of color that would come to mind.
And I think that's how they're giving it that balance, is they're
Right.
not afraid to go into the lesser known corners of the scent world in order to create that balance
Right.
with things like soil or graveyard or dusty barbershop.
I do think it's fun that it is more on that lighter feminine side. I do think you
too.
could pull this off perfectly, but there's just something about it that does speak to that little more romantic kind of side of things.
And I love that we decided to kind of assign it to a female today, because we are definitely not going to get letters. This is an absolutely beautiful feminine center.
I know, I'm glad we went with attaching this. I'm really curious how the other two are going to play. Like, it'll be fun to have them next to this one and
Yes.
know, like, see how Bella interacts with the other two, maybe.
So, y'all, I know we never talk about lather here on the Barbershop Duet, but when we do watch our shave and chat, we do like to see how his lather coats the base, and tells you a lot about the base and how it's made. So
Yeah.
while we don't do shaving, here we go. Mwah. 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 Mwah.
That's quite a base
How's it
there, y'all.
feel?
Wonderful.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
actually nice and cool. It's really hot here today,
It
so
is
it does
97.
feel
We're going
nice.
to have a heat advisory in San Francisco.
Oh, yeah, that's a good slickness
Y'all,
there.
look at this.
I gotta admit, it's been a while since I've used one of these because I was kind of waiting for it to cool down and get more autumny here. But
I waited for September 1st to hit, and I shaved with autumn
did.
ash and saw when immediately. I had been
he
waiting
did.
for this.
He was waiting for the countdown. I do have to say, this one I would use a lot more year round, I feel like.
yes.
Like, there's something a little, just the brighter side and enough of that florally side. Like, this would actually kind of work on way more like a spring evening, maybe, or something, don't you think?
A romantic walk through a cemetery.
you
We
go.
actually know what that's like.
And their bottles are so cute. Like, how could we not add a new friend to your autumn ash that we have already?
I love how the balance of the wine and the flowers and everything that is just so dapper and elegant is sort of offset by the set of dusty potion bottles and spell ingredients.
It's there.
It's a vibe, yo.
It's funny because I think when we say rose and red wine, what they're picturing is not what we're smelling. Like,
Right.
it still has that filter of Southern Witchcrafts over it. So what you think you're getting, this has that fun other like characters of those
Right.
scent notes put together. It's
Right.
not the normal ones that you're expecting.
And every once in a while, on the weekends, my parents would drive us up to a winery, for fun, to hang out. But my dad would always talk about, like, oh, this has a chocolate note. Oh, this has a cranberry note. Oh, this has a...
Right.
It's almost like those notes inside the wine are broken open so that you can sense the cherry, you can sense the chocolate, you can sense the cranberry.
Right.
Very cool. So it's pretty simple, y'all. Just be living with your mom and her baseball player boyfriend down in the desert of Phoenix, Arizona. And just about the time they start getting a little wanderlust and you start getting a little bored, your dad's gonna call and say, why don't you come live with me up in Forks? It's this beautiful town where the sun never shines. Well, just about the time this really weird family walks into the cafeteria, drops apples and stuff, you're gonna get your own. So head over to southernwitchcrafts.com to find this and a bunch of other cool stuff.
Back from my shave with Necromantic, and this base is wonderful. It really felt like it was nice and safe while I was working my shave, and the lather just grew abundantly, which was wonderful as well. And the scent, I really have to say, I may want to get the splash in this. There is something just wonderfully romantic and spooky about this scent. So thank you, Southern Witchcrafts.
Why are death and romance so connected?
Good question. Welcome to Messages. So, speaking of Southern Witchcrafts, we wanted to give you a chance to win a $20 gift card to Southern Witchcrafts.
Yeah, y'all, so you can experience one of these amazing songs for yourself, and all you have to do to be eligible is send us an email here to WeSentYou@theBarbershopDuet.com so that we can get back to you. Email is the only way we communicate about our giveaways, and then check back here on November 2nd when we choose our lucky winner on the show.
Best of luck.
Woo, Deserology. Y'all, for those of you who saw this episode, when I smelled this, my nose immediately went to the cosmetics and the cosmetic room in my dad's funeral home. I don't just mean a little, I mean a lot, because those cosmetics are specially scented. They do not use body heat to do what they do. Well, for obvious reasons. So I actually reached out to Southern Witchcraft and I asked them, do you guys have a little bit of insider knowledge as far as what like a funeral home preparation room would smell like? And they said, yeah, We do. We have some friends. They absolutely nailed it, y'all. And y'all, I just can't get over the width and breadth. Even though this is in a gothic graveyard sort of a lane, these scents go everywhere and take me to so many different places. Y'all, Southern Witchcraft, you have just been doing everything right from the very beginning of our journey. Thank you for being so inspiring and being so imaginative.
And I think that's actually what brought me into the first Twilight book, is it was just had that different perspective, and it does have the darker sides and different things happening that you wouldn't expect story-wise, and they do that with their scents here, which is super cool. I just want to point out the magic of the wisteria going on in here. I did not know we were missing out. Wisteria wasn't in our den, and now it is, my friends.
I kind of get it why it's not used in more soaps, because it does have this gorgeous graveyard quality to it. But boy, would this be something else without it.
I agree. There's something, it's just so prominent here. Like, I really am loving how it's working, I gotta say. Don't forget your next appointment with the Barbershop Duet.
You'll smell more romantic just watching this.